Welcome to the Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live here in the Villages to get perspectives of what is happening here in the Villages, Florida. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters in episodes.
This is Mike Roth. And listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and a lot of things that people need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Creating this podcast is a labor of love. Even though it demands more time, I can easily spare. Now, here's where you come in. You can help us keep the podcast alive and thriving. How? By becoming a supporter. The easy way for you to support us is to visit our podcast webpage, openforuminthevillagesflorida.com, and click on the supporter button at the top of the page, or the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on. I hope everyone enjoys today's show. This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with Peg Harvey. Thanks for joining me, Peg.
Pleasure.
Peg has been a guest on the show before, and Peg currently has the most popular episode in the series of Open Forum in the Villages, so I invited her back. Peg, I really appreciate you coming back. And today we're going to be talking about awakening your hidden healer. For those of you who haven't listened to Peg's original episode, go back to season 3, I think show number 6, and listen to Peg tell the story of how she became a cancer survivor 15 years ago, after being diagnosed as incurable and told to go to hospice care. And instead, Peg went to an organic healing center in the San Diego area and became cancer-free in 6 months. An amazing story, Peg.
It's a good story with a happy ending.
Yes, it's an ongoing story. It doesn't have an ending.
Yes.
Good. Hope you live to 100. Okay, Peg, today we're going to be talking about awakening your inner healer. These are tips for staying healthy in a toxic world. We have a lot of toxic chemicals around us every day.
We do.
In fact, a couple of weeks ago in the show, we had a lady come on and talk about how to make meals for only one person. And then we had another person come on and talk about her book on how to make foods that consisted of one ingredient, which made a lot of sense. What in your head made you create this idea of an inner healer?
It's my belief through my own personal healing experience from the stage 4 cancer that our bodies are actually designed to self-heal. If we remove the obstacles, we might say the toxins, that we are either inhaling or ingesting or absorbing by putting them on our skin, and we start to instead nourish and replenish with healthier foods, healthier waters, healthier personal care products. One of the ways we might describe our inner healer is our immune system. We're all born with a healthy immune system. And over time, depending on the lifestyle choices that we make, we can either enliven our immune system or we can dampen it down. And whenever we're diagnosed with what we might call a health opportunity, or other people would call a disease, your immune system can be your biggest ally if it's strong. But if it has been weakened through, again, those lifestyle choices, it's not going to be as effective in helping us to heal.
What are the kinds of things, besides disease, that weaken our immune system?
All right. So we can inhale some of these toxins. That comes from polluted air. We spray things in or around our body like sunscreen or insect repellent. Smoke, whether you're a smoker or you're inhaling secondhand smoke. Anyone who uses colognes or perfumes or Gentlemen use those kinds of things as well. That's one way. We can ingest them, food, polluted water. Did you know that the average woman ingests about 4 pounds of lipstick over her lifetime?
Ugh,
Amazing.
that's
Ugh,
tarry
ugh.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a petroleum product. Lastly, we absorb through our skin. Our skin is our largest organ. If you go into a swimming pool, typically it's treated with chlorine. Sometimes I know that when I've traveled, if there are seasickness patches, they're called transdermal medicine patches.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way that we absorb. Whenever you wash your clothes in laundry detergent and then dry the clothes with dryer squares, some of those chemicals are on your body or on your sheets. So there are several different ways that these toxins become a part of us, and they can, as I say, dampen or depress the immune system if we're not cautious about what we're doing or we're not thoughtful or conscious. So imagine, Mike, if I ask you to hold a 12-ounce glass of water or a plastic bottle, 12 ounces of water, and I said, Mike, I just want you to hold this. Do you think it would be reasonable that you could hold that for 5 minutes without any problem? What if I ask you to hold it for 2 hours?
Might get wobbly.
All right. What if I ask you to hold it for 24 hours?
Big problem.
Okay. You'd eventually have to put it down.
I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, your muscles are going to become fatigued, even though that's only a 12-ounce bottle of water. But it depends on the duration of the time that you're holding that bottle of water. So it's a little bit like our tolerance for toxins. Nobody knows exactly. The question is whether or not these are chronic toxins, which means maybe not toxic after one exposure, one meal, but maybe after 365 exposures, 365 meals, it could begin to damage the immune system.
So these toxins remain in our body long after they are excreted out, either through the skin or...
Yes. In mainstream media, and maybe you've read about this, there are something called forever chemicals. So these are chemicals that our body is literally not able to eliminate.
I thought the forever meant that the chemical is around forever. It doesn't break down naturally in the environment.
True, but if you ingest those chemicals, then they are in your body forever. They also don't have the ability to break down.
If we have a second, I want to talk the first thing you said about things you ingest by just breathing.
Right.
Okay, I have noticed that if you keep your white car in the garage, okay, and don't open the door very often, but at the end of a few days, if you run your finger over the car,
yes,
you're going to come up with a black coating on this car just that was in the air and it fell onto your car.
Correct.
When we're breathing this stuff in that we can't see, first of all, does the body have a good filtering system for it?
Inside our nasal passages, we have tiny little hairs. They're called cilia. And part of their job is to filter out impurities. We have some people, however, who are mouth breathers. I have a granddaughter who's a mouth breather. And so for people who default to mouth breathing, thus aren't really able to do their job. And so, yeah, we have the mechanism, but it doesn't work properly for every individual.
So how does the body get rid of this particulate matter, which we breathe in?
The first step would be prevention. So you want to raise your consciousness about these various toxins and try to avoid them so that you don't have to worry about eliminating them. But then once they're in the system, there are some detoxification processes or procedures that they teach at the Health Institute where I healed from the cancer and where I continue to work as a consultant. So one of the key ways is simply drinking pure water. And that sounds very simple, but it actually can be complex. Well, there is you've seen on...
Bottled water, would you consider that to be pure water?
It depends. So if you read the label on bottled water, sometimes it says bottled at the municipal source.
Let's see what that particular bottle says.
Let's see what that says.
I've just grabbed a bottle of Zephyr Hills water. 100% natural spring water is what it says.
Okay, that would probably be a higher quality. It's coming from a natural source, spring water.
Yeah, from White
Uh,
Liberty County.
okay,
Hmm.
probably better quality. What you don't want to do is find a bottle of water that says the source is the municipal water system, because that's basically just tap water that they've
Hmm.
put in a plastic bottle. The amount of water that you drink is important too, so you want to take a look at that bottle. He's picked up another.
Oh, I found another bottle in
All
here. This
right,
one says purified water.
purified.
Oh, does it have ingredients in it? This one's from Irving, Texas.
Does it say what the source is?
I guess if you really wanted to know the source, you'd have to use the QR code and deal with that. Okay. And it does say this is purified by reverse osmosis, which is
Okay.
my favorite process.
Okay,
For,
so that's probably municipal water that's gone through a reverse osmosis process.
what do you think of that
Um,
as a way to purify your water at home?
There are several different ways you can purify your water at home. Even the little filter, if you have a refrigerator that
Hmm.
has a water receptacle on the front,
Door,
on the
yes.
door, there is a small filter in there. Depending on the level and the quality of your local water source, you might want to upgrade to a whole house water filtration system that's going to remove some of the chloramines. Here in the villages, our water does not have fluoride in it, but fluoride is not a product that you want to ingest. When you ingest fluoride, it can calcify your pineal gland, which messes with your sleep cycle. So it can be okay to have a fluoride treatment at the dentist that
Hmm.
you're not ingesting. It's just a topical
Yeah, and the
treatment.
excess is spit out.
Yeah, but it is not anything that you want to ingest. Depending on your budget, there are different ways of purifying the water. Let's talk a little bit about not just the source of water, but the container that your water is in.
That's good. I was going to bring that up. These are plastic bottles
Yeah,
that are
so
flexible.
these are plastic bottles, and it's not advisable to store your water in plastic. I'm sure you've been reading, lots of people have, again, it's widely promoted in the mass media, that when plastic is heated, it breaks down into tiny fragments that are called microplastics.
And these are very difficult to get out of the body when you ingest them.
Let's talk a little bit about the plastic bottles again. I have a couple of fears of plastic bottles because they're plastic and they can deform as you just hold them. Are any plastic or microplastics released into the water as that bottle is flexed?
Yes, I think you can safely assume that. It's advisable to store your water in stainless steel or glass bottle rather than a plastic bottle. Whenever plastic is heated, it breaks down into those tiny fragments called microplastics that release chemicals that act as hormone disruptors, and they have been known to increase the risk of cancer, especially in our digestive system. Especially for people who live in a place like the villages. Our cars are hot, our golf carts are hot. You want to buy a high quality stainless steel or glass water bottle to carry around. And the amount of water that you consume on a daily basis is critical too. The USDA actually has a recommended daily allowance for water. It's about 130 ounces daily. That'd be about 8 glasses for men, a little bit less for women, about 6 glasses a day for women. And people who are active and spend time in the sun, like most villagers, again, they probably should increase that.
Well, if you're active in sports in the sun, you're going to drink a lot more
You're going to
water.
need more water.
Mhm.
Now, one thing that has come out recently, I read a book last summer called Quench that was written by Dr. Dana Cohen about optimum hydration. She pointed out that if you are eating an abundance of fruits and vegetables, that's actually even better than consuming water, because the
Really?
molecular structure of the water that's contained in fruits and vegetables is easier for our body to absorb, and it has the benefit of having some vitamins, minerals, potassium, magnesium, etc. in it. So it's a higher quality of water. Believe it or not, Some of the fruits and vegetables, cucumbers, all the lettuces, celery, zucchini, broccoli, have greater than 90% water content. And picture yourself diving into a nice, juicy, ripe watermelon, 96% water.
I personally love watermelons.
Well, most everybody does.
I don't know if everyone does, but I'll ask my wife to buy watermelon for dessert.
Yes. Yeah. And so think about some of those other fruits, berries, peaches,
Mhm.
plums, nectarines, papaya. All of those are incredible sources of water.
So would they count as part of the
Yeah.
8 glass a day?
Yes. But sadly, a lot of people, especially older people, they don't eat as many vegetables and fruits as they actually should. So that would be one way to increase your optimum hydration and also get some vitamins and minerals as well.
That's good.
Let's take a break and listen to Dr. Craig Curtis talk about Alzheimer's and brain exercises.
But all scientists feel, all doctors feel, that you should definitely engage your brain and get involved in crossword puzzles, Sudoku, whatever types of brain stimulation you enjoy, and do it on a regular basis.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the Villages community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Let's talk about something else we can do to stay healthy and protect ourselves here in Florida. Let's start from the sun. There are suntan lotions. We had a dermatologist on, Dr. Zach Whitney, and he recommended the mineral-based suntan products as opposed to the chemical-based. I know you brought a couple of products with you that looked pretty good on the surface.
One of them is Alba Botica Sports Sunscreen. On the front of the packaging, it says that it's fragrance-free. The sun protection factor, SPF, is 45. And it has a little testimonial, I guess I would call it, up in the corner. It says, recommended by the Skin Cancer Foundation. That sounds good, right?
Sure, they paid some money to the Skin Cancer Foundation.
Yeah, there you go. The other one is a Neutrogena product. It's Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Dry Touch Sunscreen.
They made their whole reputation on being safe products.
And they've been around for a long time. I know I used Neutrogena products when I was a teenager. This is sun protection factor 100.
Wow.
And the testimonial on this one says, #1 dermatologist recommended sun care. Would you buy either of these?
If I saw that one from Neutrogena that said 100 on the SPF scale, I would buy that one.
Okay, on the basis that it's a higher sun protection factor?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to get sunburned anymore.
All right. And also it's the #1 dermatologist recommended
Sounds
sun
wonderful.
care. Sounds wonderful.
Let's take a look at the ingredients inside of it
All right.
on the back of the packaging.
So there is a app that I highly recommend for your listeners. I teach a class through the Enrichment Academy here in the Villages, and it's called Secrets from the Spa. And this app is called YA. It's free. You download it. Yucca. I like to say Yucca. And at the point of purchase, if you go into a drugstore or a Target or a Walmart and you scan using that app, the barcode, it will give you a rating on its safety from 0 being not safe at all to 100 being very safe to use. So this Neutrogena product that you chose, SPF 100, broad spectrum UVA, UVB, #1 dermatologist recommended, its Yucca rating is 0 out of 100. 0 out of 100.
And 0 is bad?
0 is toxic.
Toxic. What's in it that's toxic?
It has oxybenzone and oxycycline, both of which are extremely toxic. And these are also nanoparticles. So the chemical composition of sunscreens is divided into 2 different levels. Non-nanoparticles are larger and they rest on top of your skin. A product, for example, that has zinc oxide as its active ingredient, you'll see that as a white pasty film on top of your skin.
You see that all the time in water volleyball.
Yeah, and water volleyball, people who are playing golf and maybe they've had an issue with skin cancer or skin condition in the past. It's very difficult to get off your skin because it's resting on the top and the surface is oily or greasy feeling.
It's like putting...
Yeah, exactly. So this Neutrogena product, these are nanoparticles, smaller particles that go through the pores of your skin. And whenever you put something on your skin, whether it's a sunscreen or a lotion, it goes directly into your bloodstream. Remember, we talked about those medical transdermal patches. It goes right into the bloodstream, as opposed to ingesting something. When you ingest something, swallow it, it gets filtered by the liver. Anything that you put on topically doesn't have the benefit of being processed or filtered out by the liver. A rule or tip about purchasing sunscreen is to never believe anything on the front of the packaging. This #1 dermatologist recommended skincare? Nope, not for me, not for you. You should also be aware or careful of words like hypoallergenic. It simply means the ingredients might be less likely to cause an allergic reaction, but it's no guarantee. And you also want natural ingredients, not synthetic, not chemical ingredients. So a product can be labeled natural, but only contain 2 or 3 natural ingredients out of a dozen synthetic ones. So you have to become a really diligent label reader. Also, beware of the word organic. Companies like to throw that word around because it sounds good.
Well, Dr. Zach said only with the organic sunscreens.
They could add an organic ingredient to a whole toxic soup of synthetic and other. And also, arsenic is organic, right? So you have to be careful about that.
Wait, you're saying that some sunscreens have arsenic in it?
No, but arsenic is organic. You have to be very careful about understanding the terminology. But if your listeners download that app...
And tell us again what that app is.
It's YUKA. It's a free app. And once you've downloaded it, at the point of purchase, before you make a purchasing decision in the store, you're going to scan this barcode and it will give each product a rating from 0 to 100. With some explanation about why it's either low or high.
Okay.
It's a simple, easy, quick way to make sure that you're getting safe products before you purchase them.
And the other product you brought in was a toothpaste.
Yeah, I did.
And that toothpaste has a brand name
yes.
that we've all recognized from being kids, Pepsodent.
Pepsodent. Again, very long product, long brand that we had.
This was its Complete Care.
Yeah, Pepsodent Complete Care Anti-Cavity Fluoride Toothpaste.
Now, is that still on the market or something you had in your closet?
No, I think I got this at the $1.25 store. Used to be called the dollar store, but it's $1.25.
Everything is inflated.
Yeah, okay. So the active ingredient in this is sodium fluoride.
How much sodium fluoride in it does it have?
0.24%.
Okay, so it's not a very heavy concentration of sodium.
Not a heavy concentration. However, be aware that almost all toothpaste that contain fluoride have this or a very similar warning. It says, if more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away, especially for children under the age of 6.
So don't slather that on your toast at breakfast.
There are some ingredients in here. One of them is something called sodium lauryl sulfate. That ingredient, along with titanium dioxide, which is another whitening ingredient in this toothpaste, both of those have been outlawed by the European Union.
Really?
Yeah. The standards in Europe for personal care products are much higher than those in the United States. Here in the United States, manufacturers are not required to go through safety testing. So anybody who's using a product is a guinea pig for personal care products.
Now, that includes things like hairspray?
deodorant, hairspray, perfumes, colognes, lotions, anything that you put on your skin. And there's no database, no universal database to collect information about accidents or injuries that are caused by using personal care products. I have a friend who lives here in the Villages. She was a registered nurse, and she was walking through a department store, and she had a shopping bag because she'd been in another store previously.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman at a cosmetics counter handed her a little slip that had a perfume on it,
Okay.
an exotic perfume that was from Africa. I think the name of that perfume was called Tribal.
Yeah, as you walk through the department stores and the
Yeah,
malls,
they'll give you little packages.
they used to
of-
spray it at you.
Yes, Maggie, my friend, put this in her bag
Mhm.
and she went about her business. And she drove about 20 minutes home from the store. And she noticed as she was driving that the car was listing to the right. And she thought maybe something was wrong with her
Oh, yeah.
alignment or her
Sure.
steering or something was off. She got out of the car, parked it just outside the garage. Her husband was in the garage. And as she was walking in, her husband said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, why?" And he said, "Because you're listing to the right. Your body is listing to the
Wow.
right." As the day wore on, she became more disoriented and dizzier. A day or two later, she had to skip work, went to the doctor, and the doctor said that some ingredient in that small little sample of perfume had caused a condition in her inner ear called disequilibrium. She had to be off work for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so there's nowhere, who do you report that to? There isn't a collective database for these kinds of cosmetic accidents or injuries.
Mm-hmm. So let's wrap up and say, what are some of your best tips for protecting yourself and staying healthy? Because I think everyone here in the Villages wants to stay healthy.
Of course.
And if you're not in the Villages and you're listening, you probably also want to stay healthy.
Yeah. So we've talked about water, the importance of water, food, also super important, and dampen your immune system by eating highly processed foods. And I think more and more evidence is coming out about obesity in the United States right now. More than 40% of adults are obese. And so I tell people, try to eat real food. And by real food, the kind of food that you would find on the perimeter of a grocery store. That's where you're going to find your fruits and your vegetables and your dairy and your meat products, and maybe healthy baked goods that are whole grain.
So that application, you called it, was it yucca?
Yes.
If you take a can of soup that you picked up in the middle of the
Yes.
supermarket, it will rate that soup?
That's
Wow.
so food and cosmetics. It rates both of those. You want to store, we talked before about plastics, you want to store your food in glass containers, not in plastic containers.
Is out as far as you're concerned.
Tupperware is out. They've produced a lot of wonderful glass containers for food.
My wife bought some plastic containers, and I noticed after she put some spaghetti in it, that
The red coloring will leach into
the
that.
plastic. So
That's right.
that means that the plastic must have open pores.
Correct. And so when you are storing your food there, some of those little fragments of the plastic are falling into the food. And then as you eat the food from the plastic container, you're ingesting those and never, ever microwave using plastic. You want to always, if you're using
Glass.
a microwave glass, absolutely.
Don't use metal, those can cause fires.
No, yeah, exactly. So we talked a little bit about absorbing through the skin. We talked about ingesting food and water. I want to talk a little bit about inhaling. So you want to make sure that you're breathing clean air. Almost everyone who lives in the Villages wants to have a beautiful front yard, beautiful landscape without weeds. I'm sure that you've heard about the dangers of a product called glyphosate, which is found in a weed killer Roundup and some others.
Yeah, I just switched to a organic weed killer that doesn't have anything like that. It's all natural ingredients.
Yes. So I actually use vinegar I put vinegar, just white vinegar. You buy
That's one of
it.
the ingredients in
Yeah.
this
White
combination.
vinegar kills weeds like nobody's business.
You hit a weed, it sticks really well. And I've been surprised that this natural weed killer works as well as it does.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, just always looking for the alternative product that is a little bit cleaner. Another thing that I tell people is take your shoes off when you enter your house. Maybe you've been out on a golf course during the day or walked across the neighbor's yard and they have sprayed it with one of these toxic chemicals. So you're now bringing that into your home. So remove your shoes when you enter your house. And nonstick cookware, the chemicals it creates when they're heated can be strong enough to kill small pets like budgies, birds, and so on. So you want to make sure that you're using high quality cookware.
You talked earlier about laundry detergents and fabric softeners. Recently, we've given up on most fabric softeners in favor of putting something like wool tennis balls in
You
the
could
dryer.
do that, or even a regular tennis ball.
I don't know about how inorganic that is, but what's your favorite laundry detergent?
I wish I could remember the brand. We've carefully researched that, and we've found a brand that is non-toxic, but I can picture the bottle in my laundry room, but I can't think of the name of it, unfortunately. But again, you could use that app on your phone to check the ingredients and become familiar with what's toxic and what's not. Believe it or not, if you use these highly toxic dryer sheets and fabric softeners, it can take as many as 27 washings to get rid of them. So they have a long life shelf expect in the clothes or your sheets or pillowcases or whatever it is that you've been washing that touches your skin. Furniture, too. I remember a couple years ago, we bought a new couch and it was delivered. And I probably sneezed for 2 days just if I would walk by because they've sprayed it with some kind of preservative or something to prevent insects from infesting the inner workings of your sofa. And
You shared with me that you're purchasing a new home.
yes,
Does the new home have carpeting, or did you go?
we're tearing all the carpeting out. It does have carpeting in the 3 bedrooms, and it has tile in the main area, but we're just replacing it all with a wood product. Nicer feeling on the feet, I think, than the tile.
If it's the real wood, if it's
Yeah.
the processed wood, the
Yeah.
wood laminate.
Yeah, you don't want that plastic feel on your feet.
Yeah, I don't think I want the plastic
Yeah,
in the house.
yeah.
Okay, good. If someone has a question for you, Peggy, do you have a website that they can go to?
I don't have a website. I'm on Facebook, Peg Harvey. You can find me where I live here in the Villages. People have sent messages through Facebook, and I try to reply.
Okay, is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you think is important to include in the show?
No, I think just the highlights are drink pure water, stay hydrated. It's important to have clean water, eat real food. Don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't ingest. So learn to be a good label reader and breathe clean air.
Great. Thanks a lot, Peg.
Okay. Pleasure always, Mike.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout-out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romich, Paul Sorgen, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening to the show. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.